We've lost. The Empire's hunting Jedi survivors. Now, they know who you are.
I can't change the past.
You trespass, Jedi.
But I'm done hiding.
Cal Kestis. We will always struggle. It's the choice to keep fighting that makes us who we are.
What's good with y'all? It's your boy AD, and to be honest, this was the first Dark Souls type game I've ever played, and I could definitely tell the difference, as this was the first time I died multiple times in the tutorial mission. And I know this game gets a lot of comparisons to games like Dark Souls and Sekiro, but the difficulty was definitely noticeable, as I started out with the hardest difficulty, and once I died like 3 or 4 times just trying to take out 4 to 5 stormtroopers, I quickly put the difficulty to normal, as this was the most I struggled learning the ropes of any game. But for those that don't know what Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is, it's an action adventure game developed by Respawn Entertainment, which they've been on fire in 2019, and published by EA. It is currently playable on Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. This game came out November 15th, 2019, and it runs off the Unreal Engine. Now, before we get more into the game, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, while also sharing this to help my channel grow. So starting with the gameplay, this is going to be an analytic review, meaning that this is solely based off of my opinion after putting a lot of hours into this game. Now, one of the things I noticed off the bat was that the puzzles in this game was really, I wouldn't say that it wasn't needed, but it felt like it was padding the game, because there were so many different type of puzzles in this game, which some were challenging, some weren't. I really only got stuck on one, and I feel like with this game, it's the simple puzzles that really stopped my progress through the story. I got to this one part. If you haven't played the game yet, I'm letting you know that there's going to be spoilers throughout this whole video, so if you don't want the game to be spoiled for you, or if you're planning on playing the game, then I will come back to this video. But getting back into the puzzle that gave me the most trouble, there was this crate that you could only get by force pushing these metal balls with fire in between them through a certain hole in the obstacle in your way, and for me, I didn't see that first, as you had to look up to see it, but also the water took out the ball if you didn't force push it the right way. So those puzzles throughout that whole mission kind of threw me for a loop, because I thought there was some way you could block the water from flowing, but turns out you just had to throw it through a hole that was exposed above the gate that you was trying to go through. So that's what I mean by simple puzzles in this game may seem like padding, because it's not difficult and doesn't really add anything to the story. It just kind of throws you for a loop because you think it's more complex than it actually is. But that's the only puzzle I had trouble with. Also, there was another one where you had to cut to electricity before you cross the water, but that didn't hold me up too long, because, and for those that have played the game would know what I'm talking about, but once I figured out that the wheel that was spinning in the middle was just for a hidden crate, I realized that that wasn't even part of the solution of getting across the water. So that's why I started with Respawn's puzzles, because I don't really think it added anything to the game. But getting into the customizable options, this is one of the things that I spent the most time with, as them letting you customize your lightsaber I really didn't see coming, as you don't really see a lightsaber if you use a poncho, which I'm gonna get to the ponchos, but those were pretty bad in this game, as I've never really seen too many Jedis rocking a poncho. So for me, it was just kind of weird how they went with that to be a customizable option for clothes. But as far as the lightsaber goes, I thought the different attachments you could put to your lightsabers were really cool, and actually when you get to Dathomir and you run into Malakos, you can really see how you can customize your lightsaber to look exactly like his, and I just like that added touch, because it really seems like they focus on the attention to detail aspect of the lightsaber, and then it just gives you some generic lightsaber not to customize. This is also one of the first solely Jedi type games that I've played, and I didn't play too much of the Force Unleashed type games. I felt like this was just from watching gameplay of those games, this seemed more grounded and gave you more customizable options. And another thing with the customizable options is the ship skins were cool. BD, who is your droid companion throughout the game, were cool, but for the sequel, they really need to add better clothes you can wear and just have better options when it comes to clothing, because from watching The Force Unleashed, I never seen Starkiller with a poncho on. I'm still wondering why they went with that as the main clothing option. But then you have Respawn's unique mechanic in each of their games like Titanfall. Maybe it's coming to Apex, but I really don't know yet. With Jedi Fallen Order, you really see the wall running mechanic used throughout this game. Just the wall running, the climbing, just how you navigated throughout the environment. You can tell that how they put different mechanics in the game to make it feel unique, like wall running, climbing. Not to say that they're the first to use these mechanics, it's just the way that they used them didn't seem forced. As you will learn throughout the story, Cal forgot basically all of his Jedi training, so he had to relearn it throughout the story while progressing throughout the game. And one of the things I found myself doing a lot was just running around not knowing everything was connected, so I got lost a lot because when you first land on the world, it's not that overwhelming as you're just starting out, but as you get more into it, you see that each world really expands, and if you've played the game, you'll understand that it's larger than you actually think, and the map that they have for it, which is one of my cons for the game, is very confusing, as they could have made a simpler map to actually show you where you're going rather than having you rotate the map, flip it upside down and turn it around just to figure out how to get back to the ship. And that's another aspect of the game why I just felt like Respawn was padding to the runtime. And then also with me playing on PlayStation 4, I had a lot of noticeable frame drops. Whenever that started happening, I started looking on the internet, just looking for other players that had the same problem as me. And what I found out was the Xbox and PC versions of the game are better than the PlayStation 4. So that's kind of a letdown if you're playing on PlayStation, but it's good to know that not all of the ports on the different platforms are broken like this one. It really didn't take my enjoyment away from the game, but it kind of hindered it as I was really enjoying the game, and to deal with frame drops and glitches and just random bugs that will end up shutting down my game. Like one time I was in the caves again and I opened up the map and the whole game just glitched on me. Like Cal just stood in one place looking at the map, but the map wasn't open, so I had to restart my game, which PlayStation put out a lot of updates while I was progressing throughout the game, and I still had the same problem. So hopefully they take the PlayStation platform into consideration with the sequel. But one of the pros that I do have for the map is the icons, specifically the unexplored icons, because for me this helped me almost 100% the game, which I don't even 100% the games. I usually just play it until I feel like I've gotten enough out of it or I've gotten my money's worth. But with the map, the unexplored icon really makes you want to explore more, because the way you go about wall running and climbing throughout this game is really enjoyable. So I really wanted to put a lot of time in this game, and the map's unexplored icon really helped out a lot, as I found a lot of things that I wouldn't have found otherwise, or that I would have just missed out on, because most of those contained a lot of crates that gave you more customizable options. So getting back into my previous statement while I was talking about the tutorial mode, this game takes a while to perfect the combat, as at first you're just dealing with blocking and attacking and trying to balance focusing on one stormtrooper to the other, but then you realize each mission gives you a new mechanic that basically changes the way you play the game. I will compare these mechanic changes to God of War. This is a spoiler if you haven't played God of War, but when you get to a certain part in the story, you get his weapon that he's always had in all the other games. When you get that, it completely changes the way you play, because it has a whole new skill tree specifically for that weapon. In this game's case, you don't get a whole new weapon, but you kind of feel like you have a new weapon as they add new things to it. Like you can have a double-bladed lightsaber, and then towards the end of the game, Cal breaks his lightsaber, so your mentor Seer gives you another lightsaber to attach it to, and then you go to the snow planet where you fix your lightsaber, then you have the ability to do a double-bladed lightsaber attack. So it kind of changes the way you play the game while also adding to your enjoyment level of the game. It took a while for me to notice that the single-bladed lightsaber did way more damage than the double-bladed, which I use the double-bladed a lot, because growing up with the Clone Wars, I was a big fan of Darth Maul, but when I figured out that the single-bladed did way more damage, I only used the double-bladed for crowd control, which the game actually tells you that you should probably only use this for crowd control. And those are just a few of the ways that it completely changes the game. Like you get a double jump towards the end of the game, and if you think about that, a double jump helps for basically everything you do when you move throughout the map. So that was just unexpected, as I just thought Cal was going to end up only being able to jump once throughout the whole game. But when I got the Jedi flip was completely unexpected for me, as I just thought Cal was only going to be able to jump once throughout the whole game. Now moving into the story, which throughout talking about the story, some gameplay mechanics I'm also going to touch on. So gameplay and story is obviously connected, but for this game, it's connected in ways that I thought were pretty unique. So to start off with the game, you're stuck with a Jedi named Cal, who went went into hiding and suppressed his powers as a Jedi so the Empire wouldn't find him. And then during his day on the job, something goes wrong while he's trying to fix something, and his friend falls and he ends up using his powers. I guess that's how the Empire knew that there was a Jedi on that planet, because of how they can sense the Force. But it would have been nice to create your own character, as Cal really didn't do anything for me. Like, just him as a character was kind of boring. Like, he had a mentor and his mentor died, and his mentor gave him his lightsaber, but besides that, Cal really just wasn't important aesthetic wise. Like, Respawn should have allowed us to create our own character, which would have gave us more attachment to the character we created. Along with the customizable lightsaber, I just felt like it would have went hand in hand. I don't know, maybe Respawn did that for a reason. Maybe he's gonna show up in a future movie or TV show, because this happens before the current Star Wars trilogy that we're on right now. So he will be old like Luke, even older than Luke, but I don't see any point in just having him around. Like, they should have just let us create our own character, but maybe that's just the RPG gamer coming out of me, because I really like when you get to create your own character. One of the things that Respawn really takes their time with is putting certain collectibles in the world to make you want to explore more and gain rewards that you wouldn't have otherwise. Through another person's playthrough, when they get to the end of the story, you can kind of see if they spend a lot of time exploring the world or not, because of the outfit, their ship, or BD, because I got a lot of different outfits and customizable options for BD and the ship, especially the lightsaber. The game really rewards you, giving you a ton of options with your lightsaber parts when you open a lot of crates. So I would spend a lot of time exploring the world and just going places and just looking at the unexplored icon on the map and just completing all of those, because that's where the enjoyment of the game came for me. And one of the things that Respawn just did recently was add a photo mode. They should have added this from the beginning, as this is a single player game, so once you're done with it, you're done. I mean, if you want to go through it again, you can, but I really only play a game again if it has New Game Plus, because then you get to keep all the attributes that you spent hours on hours finding. If you want to go through the game again, or if you haven't played it, there's a photo mode available for you now. And the graphics are really good, so better late than never, I guess. As players and fans of this game will definitely take their time taking certain pictures from certain angles, capturing the graphics of this game. Respawn definitely wants you to look at the graphics. They'll have certain cinematic moments, as it's just a look at the world we built type moment, but with the photo mode, the players can do that themselves. Now, I know I talked about dying a lot in the tutorial mission, but the tutorial was really good in my opinion. I was just bad at the game at that time and just had to lower the difficulty, and then I bumped it up to Jedi Knight, because I definitely was not going to keep playing on story mode after coming from Jedi Grandmaster. And that's another tip I can give, where playing the game, when we landed on the first planet, I really figured out that the story mode difficulty isn't the way to go, as the first boss is like a giant frog and it has a weird name, but I beat it pretty easily and pretty quickly, and that's when I realized I needed to bump the difficulty back up, because I've gotten the hang of things. But at the start, I would definitely figure out where you're at with the game and then just go from there. This game focuses on forming the Jedi Order, and there's this thing that they have to get to showcase all the Force-sensitive children around the world to create the Jedi Order. And then, long story short, you put in hours on hours just to find this one thing, and then at the very end, he just slices it and then just says, we'll find it on our own. I don't really know why they had us find that object if he was just going to destroy it, but I guess that's the journey was the lesson type message they was trying to send. I didn't really care about all that, because I didn't really care about Cal as a character, which is why I keep bringing up why we should have been able to customize our own character. But the Darth Vader scene was one of the best, if not the best moment in the game, as when Darth Vader showed up, it was kind of like, if you've seen Infinity War, it was kind of like seeing Thanos for the first time and just seeing how powerful he was, as they let you try to fight him for like 1 second, then he grabs you, and then the rest of the mission is spent running away from Darth Vader. I like how they showed the power of Darth Vader and how he walked in like Thanos. Makes me just appreciate the Force Unleashed games even more, because for those that don't know, Starkiller was Darth Vader's mentor, and he was way more powerful than Darth Vader in the end, because he didn't have a suit that restricted his abilities like Darth Vader had. It just shows you what type of level those people are on. But enough of the story, let's get into the pros and cons of the game. And starting with the cons, as I said, the game has a lot of glitches for the PS4. I talked about the map shutting down the whole gameplay for me. Like, I had to reset the game and start from my last save point. There's also frame drops on the PS4. The dodge is kind of stiff, is one of the things that I noticed. I didn't really dodge too much, as once you get the Jedi flip, double jumping helped me dodge more than the actual dodge button. But it still had its uses. Like, when it's one-on-one, the dodge button helps a lot, but the double jump definitely helps in a group of enemies. enemies. And just little things like textures popping in and out, them having a whole loading screen every time you die just be black. Like they just had a loading screen and it had a little icon in the lower left. It was just black, like no type of picture to look at, no type of, I mean, they had tips on the bottom, but that went away when the actual loading screen came up. So as if you didn't play on the story mode difficulty, a lot of people spent a lot of time on that screen from dying from enemies. So they need to make the loading screen more engaging and not just a black screen that lasts for like 5 minutes. I don't think anybody's trying to go through that when they're just trying to get right back into the fight and try to take out the boss again. And then this was the first time I ever experienced lag in a single player game. Probably not the first time, but the first time I really noticed it. At some points in the game literally just stopped. The whole frame rate, everything just stopped. And I was just frozen, I guess so they could load more details into the map before I could proceed. In a single player game, it's just really unacceptable as nobody really wants to pay $60 for a game that is broken. Jedi Fallen Order isn't broken, but some of the glitches in this game will really make you think that the game is broken. And then again, all the poncho outfits, I really disliked all of the poncho outfits. I don't know why somebody thought that was a good idea to put into a Star Wars game for your main character, like maybe a side character, but your main character to only have poncho outfits. It got to the point where I just had the default outfit on for most of the game. And then towards the end of the game, I got like an orange outfit. And one of the things I noticed that stealth would have really been a great option, as some of the portions in these missions, you can see how they could have took the stealth to another level, but instead they just opted to, you hit one person and they all see you. A really fleshed out stealth mechanic in this game was really needed. And then the parry was too inconsistent. That's just not me saying that for me dying in the tutorial mission. It's just me playing throughout the game. I realized that the parry is different from other games, as it's not right when they hit you. It's kind of like a little bit before, and then sometimes it's right when they hit you. So the parry is too inconsistent in this game. So that's why I found myself jumping a lot. And when I got the Jedi flip, definitely double jump is the way to get across groups of enemies. But one-on-one, the parry was not too bad. And then the ending was underwhelming. Somebody thought it was a good idea just to spend countless hours to find this one object just to destroy it in the end. But besides Darth Vader, in hindsight, I don't really see any point to why they was going through all of that. And then the main antagonist in the game, Trilla, kept popping out of nowhere, and most times it didn't even make sense how she found him. Maybe it's the force sensitive part that I brought up when he was helping out his friend in the construction accident, but if that was the case, shouldn't she have been able to track him everywhere? I think that may have been the case, but to me that was just too unrealistic, because he didn't seem to notice that Trilla kept popping up on him out of nowhere, and he really just didn't question it at all, like how she found him. Like whenever he was putting the object that you spend countless of hours trying to find, take it back to the original planet, she just shows up, takes it, and then goes off, and then you have to chase it, and that's when the final mission happens. Her popping up just makes no sense unless she was trailing him the whole time. Maybe that was just because of the story and wanting to push it forward. They just gotta do a better job on making the antagonist find the protagonist make more sense. And then getting into the pros, there's a lot of different enemy types. Once I got to the maximum amount of stems, which is 10, no boss was too hard to handle. I would really explore throughout this game because the stems help a lot and they're only found in certain locations. The last 2 or 3 I had to look up on YouTube to find how and where it was located. And there was like one on Dathomir that I missed and I had to go back and get. But that was one of the most enjoyable parts for me, is the different enemy types in the game, because it gets boring just beating up the same type of enemies over and over. Throughout the whole game, they throw different type of enemies at you. That's why I said the ending was underwhelming. They just go with the same stormtroopers instead of like different enemy types. But the part where you get captured and you put into an arena, it really showcased their variety of enemy types, and I really appreciated that, as it really makes you feel like they took the time to respect the hours that you put into the game by giving you different enemy types. As I've commented throughout this whole video, the combat is very addicting and engaging because of the specific ways you have to take out certain enemies. Like one stormtrooper may be too fast, so you have to slow him down then hit him. One may be really slow but have a lot of health, so you have to pick your spots where you want to do damage, and then others you can just fight straight up like the regular stormtroopers. And there's other ways, like if you upgrade BD to a certain point, you can start hacking droids to shoot the enemies for you. So you're probably seeing what I'm talking about. It's the tall droids, and you can hack them with BD, which is pretty funny because they start fighting each other. And then just the different ways you can use your lightsaber. Like once I unlocked the ability to throw your lightsaber, that was really my main attack point for me, just lunging at the enemy. And then the level design is amazing as you go through each world, and it really feels like its own, as the world building, each main mission you go on really really takes a life of its own, and you really feel like things have changed when you go from world to world. That plays into the different enemy types too, as the different enemy types on certain worlds, and that really helps with the uniqueness of the world building. And then this last one kind of plays into how, as the new mechanics you keep gaining throughout each main mission help you figure out better ways to play the game, like the Jedi flip, the double-bladed lightsaber, the way to have the two lightsaber attacks. I was going to put that as a con, why we couldn't play with the double-bladed lightsabers detached, but then nobody would play with the single blade or the double-bladed, so I see why they did that as only a special move option, but it would have been nice just to change to that option. Once people would have got that, nobody would have went back to this double-bladed lightsaber. But let me know, have you played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and what was the most enjoyable part of the game throughout your playthrough? In my opinion, fighting Malicos on Dathomir, because I really liked his lightsaber setup, and getting your 4th squad mate really added to the replayability for after you finish the game. So really, my favorite world, if you couldn't tell, was Dathomir, because the way that they hyped it up, saying it was going to be really challenging and everything, which it was, but it was just a nice addition to the game, as no other world I really think separated itself like Dathomir did. So yeah, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed this, make sure to let me know by hitting that like button and subscribe, and share this with your friend, neighbor, dog, or just send this to the person across the street asking why Jedis never wear ponchos, because without them, this wouldn't be possible. And with that, I'm out.